Hello, Sharon Harvey. It's
Thank
really
you.
nice to have you on the show, Finding the Human Mum.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolute pleasure. If I was going to sum up your bio, and please add to it, the way I understand your life thus far in terms of achievements and experiences, you have a very successful career in marketing and sales, especially in the travel industry. I understand that you have worked extensively with the big brands like Flight Centre. You've travelled extensively throughout your life, and I know many stories that have been shared about your adventures. And then after becoming a mum, you pursued a career as a yoga instructor, which obviously must have been an interesting contrast, but as well as that, it helped a lot of other women with their bodies and with themselves. Meeting you on the yoga mat was one of the highlights of my career at our little local school. So tell me a little bit more if I've left anything out in terms of your bio.
I grew up overseas, in and out of different countries, as well as obviously in different states in Australia. I always had a thing for travel, for visiting different cultures and flavours. Came home in boarding school.
How old were you when you started going to boarding school?
16.
16. Interesting age to be away from your parents and in this really unusual environment.
Yeah, and very unusual after living sort of an international flavour, coming back to what was really a rural boarding school. A lot of kids from the country, a lot of kids from stations, a lot of kids who had done School of the Air.
Yes.
It was really interesting, but it was amazing to know that that was a part of Australia that I didn't really know at that point. But I had this lust for travel, and I pretty much, when I could, I was out of there. So I travelled for 5.5 years, living and working in London and Canada, and yeah, that was it till I came home, got a job in travel, which was incredible, and I was in love with my job. And I think that had I not left my job, I probably wouldn't have ever become a mum, because it was so busy and it gave me everything I needed almost from a relationship. But I knew I had to leave if I ever wanted to get married and have kids, and I wanted to be a mum since I was a little girl. It was innate. I always wanted to. I wanted to be a mum in my 20s. It crept up on me that I wasn't in my 30s. I wasn't anywhere near it. I hadn't even met my future husband until 32.
You were distracted.
I was
with
very
travel.
distracted, and I didn't want to become a woman who forgot to have kids. So I had to take action and leave that job, find something that grounded me a little bit more.
Yep.
And I did. That was, the beginning.
And how soon after you'd made that commitment? And that's a big decision to make, because, you and I have had so many conversations, and often you'll reflect on the fun times when you travelled, and you're one of those beasts that just can't get enough of it.
No.
And I know you travel with your family now. So what was it like? You grounded yourself. How long did it take then? And how did you go about that quest of finding someone that might like to breed with you?
Actually, I had found him when I left Flight Centre.
Yes.
But I don't think I was putting everything into it. So it probably wouldn't have lasted like many of my other relationships.
Yes.
Had I not made some change.
Yes, like being in the one location and being committed to the idea of staying with, because I guess, was your life very much around like you could enjoy things for a period of time, and then when they got stale or tired, you could just move on?
Yeah, itchy feet. Yeah, itchy feet, moved on.
Yes, yep, and then now here we were making a commitment.
Yep, and we made a commitment, we got married, and then we didn't find getting pregnant overly easy. So it took a while. And that was another turning point, because it was, do we just sit here and make this our focus, or do we keep living an amazing life? And we chose the latter, which offered an opportunity to move to India.
Wow.
So we were trying to have children, and the opportunity to work for Gold Coast tourism in India came up. So we took it, and there was another adventure to be had.
While also hopefully falling pregnant.
Yeah, after almost 2 years over there, we came back. I was heavily pregnant to have
So
our
all up,
first
you
child.
probably tried to have a child for 3 years, would you say?
Yeah.
That must have been difficult at times, just
I
thinking,
thought it
am I
would
going to
come
get
quick.
to have this?
Yeah. And I was older, and it was funny, every time I went for my checkups in India, they would say, so how old are you? And I'd say 37, and they'd write 27, and I'd say, no, 37, not 27. You can't be 37 and having your first baby.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've gone on to have 2 more and you've got 3 gorgeous children.
Yep.
So tell me, just moving on a little bit, I mean, did you have all 3 of them in Australia?
Yeah. And bang, bang, bang. And what's funny is I coped well with changing schools, and I didn't love it, but I was okay. My brother, on the other hand, he hated it. He took a year to ever conform to the new norms and everything, and I was okay. I blended. I was a chameleon. However, my kids know the kids that they went to kindy with.
Yes.
And he's the one living the international life in overseas, working in international schools.
So you did almost like a role reversal.
Yeah. And when I was doing all my backpacking and traveling, he was here getting degree after degree, really grounded, really home. But now it's flipped, and his child has gone to 3 different schools, 9.
Wow. And so your parents, if they had to predict who would be doing what by this stage of your life, they would have definitely pegged you both being living each other's lives.
I would say, yeah, for sure.
So tell me, can you think of like a funny, or maybe one of the funniest parenting moments that you can recall that your kids won't let you live down?
There probably are many, but the one that I won't let myself live down was my oldest, Alex, first day of school. I think I had a baby, had the little one ready for kindy, the second one, and then Alex, first day of school, all dressed up. It's such a big deal. Mark took the morning off work. Off we go to the big first day. We're all going to walk in.
Photographs ready.
Wrong day. Monday. This is not the first day of school. It's Tuesday. That was a bit of an embarrassing moment.
Did you take him out for milkshake as a compensation?
Yes, we did. Cappuccinos all around.
All around. I feel like every parent out there would go, I've done something similar to that.
Dress rehearsal. It was just a dress rehearsal.
Yeah. Now we know how to get there.
Poor little guy.
Wonderful.
Pulled his eyes out.
So what's a dream or passion that you've always held on to that you're still maybe hoping to actualise?
Again, it's going to be travel. I wanted to hit 100 countries before I die.
Wow.
Where
are we up to?
55.
Wow. Okay.
And I was at 55 when I had my first child. So we've gone to the same countries, if we've travelled, that I've been to before. So I've got 45 to go.
So why is that? I mean, if you've got this thirst for travel and you've got this number that you're aspiring towards, why wouldn't you be taking the family to new countries?
I think because the countries that we've gone to are favourites, you know. They've been amazing. They've been close by, except for this last holiday.
I was going to say you went to Europe.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm half Greek, so going to Greece was a cultural
experience. And was it lovely? Did the kids identify with their culture and their heritage?
Yeah. It was better than I expected. Yeah, it was amazing.
Sounds wonderful. So tell me, in terms of like the whole concept of finding you and mum, what's it mean for you?
I think that it means still having that piece of you that is you. It means holding on to my own passions and making space for things that fill my cup. And it is time with friends. It's a glass of wine, it's exercise, it's cooking. Not cooking as a chore, but cooking because I love doing it. It's my love language. I think it's just keeping those things that are your love language alive.
So how often do you get to weave that into your week? Because you've mentioned some really beautiful things, catching up with friends, glass of wine, cooking because you want to be creative and you want to celebrate the beautiful gift of food and offering it out without it being that mundane daily grind. How often do you get to really do that?
I think wine probably too much because it becomes a bit of a crutch rather than an enjoyable thing. But when it's shared amongst friends and not at home, it's maybe once a month.
That sounds good. And do you feel like that's enough for you?
I think so. Only because my schedule is so busy that sometimes I don't carve enough time in the week that is dedicated to
just
my friends or myself. Yeah. Exercise is really important. And that's something I've maintained. I have changed the exercises over the years, but movement is really important. I am very consistent in starting a new challenge. I am very consistent in never finishing a challenge, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm on one now. Cold plunge. I'm jumping in the pool every day. Day 14 today.
It's going to get messy.
Day 100.
Winter.
So you know what? I've aimed for the stars, and if I get to day, I don't know, I can't believe I've done 2 weeks. So if
Yeah.
I get to June and it's cold, and today was cold and the water was beautiful,
Chilly.
but it was definitely
You could
a
feel
couple of
the
degrees.
shift.
Yep, yep. So finding that time is important.
And I love what you just said then around that you've started many challenges and you're equally culpable for not completing them. But you say it with a smile on your face, which I love because people sometimes see that as a sign of defeat or failure that they don't complete things.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm forever trying to suggest that that's not true. That in fact, just by being inspired and just by having that idea that you want to give something a go,
Yeah.
you've arrived. What is born out of that doesn't have to be a destination. It doesn't have to be a completed, sign off. It could just be the experience, and as long as it takes you, in a direction where you might be learning and growing, and then you might have had enough.
Yep. Or you've changed slightly habit shifts
Yes.
that you've noticed that weren't there before. So it can push you towards something.
Yep. You got to be in it to win it. And I love the fact that you can be inspired to have new ideas and to have new challenges. And
Every Monday is a new idea.
it keeps life interesting.
It does.
Because otherwise, what do we have? Just the daily grind. If you're routined by nature, then motherhood probably suits you in some ways because there's so much obligatory routine.
Yeah, scheduling and
Yes, and I know that your children are right into sport.
Yeah.
So carving that time for yourself must be even harder because you've got, demands and it's not about you just being selfless. They've got like passions and they can't yet drive and you want to help facilitate it.
Yep.
So I think it's marvellous that you're ensuring that you try to maintain that even in the face of the flurry of where all your kids are at.
Yeah, thank you.
So how do you introduce aspects of yourself to your children that's just beyond the mother role, the Sharon behind the mum?
I think by actioning it, and I have to say, there's some good actions and perhaps not so good actions. Taking them to Greece, I was there when I was 13 to 16, which is the range they're in now. They saw my life as a teen and the amazing experiences I would have had in the 3 months of summer that we had off, and took them to the places that we went. We met friends I went to school with. It's a lot of the connections that lead to the stories, and I've kept a lot of my connections up from the different schools I've went to, and I think that's
a window into who you are. So I guess when they had that recent European trip, especially to Greece, they really learnt a part of you that they may not have ever been able to appreciate because they were actually living it. It was like an excursion to mum.
Yeah, and it's other little things. In 2001, I took off and went for 2 weeks to go to France and ended up staying and working on a boat or a yacht, a luxury yacht. And it's the boats that are on below deck. And even though it's not really child appropriate to watch that with the kids, but, we can say that your mum worked on those.
Yeah.
It shows there's an insight to there was somebody before she had to cook and clean and yell and...
Yes. Yep. Do they love it? Do they love seeing that part of you?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And I think they know that we've had a really exciting life. And we've often talked about the not changing schools. And I think, there's a sense of confidence and comfort that they are at the same school. But there's that, maybe it wasn't as exciting as moving as often as I did, but they're grateful.
There'd be advantages and disadvantages to both. It's all in how, you make the most of the experience. What do you think, Sharon, of the concept of mother guilt? Do you think it's a thing, and do you think it's something that we need to acknowledge, or do we need to try to dismantle it as a societal construct?
I might be a little bit different here, but mother guilt is good for me. If I didn't have mother guilt, I would be lost on a job somewhere. I would leave children somewhere. Mother guilt has made sure that I am a little bit more present, that I'm a better mum.
You think that's the big thing that sort of keeps you upright, and that's your true north, that feeling of guilt?
Yeah, because I can be so lost in whatever task I'm doing. And when I am lost, then I have the guilt. So the guilt stops me from being lost as often as I can be. So for me, mother guilt isn't a bad thing. It keeps me a better mum.
So I feel like when you use the word guilt, you're using it in a really interesting way, because people on the program and people that I've spoken to before, when they talk about the guilt, they talk about that gut-wrenching pain of feeling like they've done something terrible, something deplorable, almost unforgivable. And, you know, it's a burden, a grey cloud. But you're almost saying it's just like a little like a reminder. It's like, come on, you're supposed to be doing something else right now. That awkward feeling, that guilt that you're feeling is because you need to be doing less of this, more of this.
Yep. You know, there's perhaps regrets, and I can feel guilty, you know, mother guilt of the third child, who she never had the story. I hope she's not watching this. The story times at the library, and she didn't have the same amount of swim lessons, and she missed out on a lot. That's sort of because I was starting a business and I was definitely trying to have more time on me. That guilt, you can't get it back, but it's made me make sure that the time I have with her now is important and I'm present, and she's the little rep netballer, and I'm probably spending more time with her now in her teens than I ever did.
And so you probably, if you asked her, she'd be like, hey, bring it on. I'm all good. Like whatever I didn't get, I'm getting now. And that is because I guess you've harnessed this feeling of guilt. You use that as a guiding tool, that if you're coasting along and everything feels fine, then everything's fine. But if the guilt creeps in, it allows you to...
It's like a red flag warning to say, you know what, you should be, stop that. My alarm's going saying I have to be watching some game rather than just do an hour more and I could get it done.
Well, I love the way that you've been able to completely rebrand guilt. And you're right, that's not what normally gets shared about mother guilt. So I love it. So what routines do you lean into that helps you reconnect with yourself? And what are the grounding little rituals that you find really beneficial?
The benefit of some of the challenges I've had, like meditation, I attempted to meditate for 10 minutes a day. I couldn't even do 4 days without breaking it. But the benefit I got just from sitting and breathing taught me so much about breath work and how it can pause so you act consciously and not react.
Yes.
So I do spend time, sometimes just a few breaths before I speak or before I act, away from devices, away from noise, and just... There's a ritual of coffee in the morning where I don't do it all the time, but it is the ritual of sitting down, having a coffee, staring out the window or being outside with the coffee and just...
meditating on that moment.
What the day holds, it just reminds me, okay, look at your calendar because you might have triple booked yourself because...
Breath work is such a phenomenon these days. Everybody's talking about it. I recently went to a intensive 3-day training to become a breathwork facilitator, which I thought at this stage of my career was an interesting thing to dip into.
Yep.
I loved it because it just reminded me the importance of the deep breathing and the different ways we can breathe and get that connection back to ourselves. And it is like meditation. It's just been, I guess, packaged up a bit differently. But when you're concentrating on your breath, you're slowing down your system. And I love the fact that you've now seen that as one of the givens in your day as best as possible, to set yourself up to be as mindful and conscious and not forget the things that you've got to do.
And even I had a really bad run with being in the zone driving and having a few accidents. So now I am breathing before I drive, you know, just to really be present.
Yep.
Be there. Yep, I might be a minute late.
But I'll be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try myself with the children before I'm about to react because of something that I'm really annoyed with. I try wherever possible just to take those breaths.
Yeah.
Because it stops me from being more volatile than I need to be.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can even catch and decide not to yell or not to, you know, make such a big deal or try to think of what's happening for them.
And that ability you can't do in the moment unless you've stopped to pause.
Yeah, that opportunity just to have that little bit of a breath.
Yeah. And I'm not perfect at it.
I'm glad you clarified that because I think that sort of helps us all feel a bit more, because you do present as a very, competent woman. I see you, how you live your life, and you do prioritize exercise and fitness, and you're very dedicated to your friends and your family. And I wonder how you get it all done. So it's nice to hear every once in a while you just fall apart a little bit.
I often fall apart.
So I think we've probably touched on this a little bit, but tell me a bit more about the hobbies that you have maintained throughout your life, even once you had the hectic shift of being a mum.
Look, there's hobbies I've lost, I've got to say. I used to draw and paint, and I haven't done that since the kids have gone to school.
Do you see it as something you're going to circle
back
back
to?
to?
I'd love to circle back. My mum paints, and yeah, I found that I would lose myself hours. You're in the zone, you're in the flow state, time would
So
just
why
go.
don't you do it now? Like, why
I don't have time. And I don't have time because I lose time while I'm there.
Yes.
I'm too scared. It'll take me. I'm just going to fix that. But I have found in my work creative out in doing postcards or DL flyers or whatever. So I'm getting some creative outlet. And as I slow down, I'll get back to it.
So it's still on your to-do list, and you just need to create that little bit of time. It's almost like if you could have 2 or 3 hours a week where you set the timer and you can lose yourself, but there is something anchoring you back to reality.
Yeah, that would be beautiful. But with kids' weekend sport, I mean, with this weather, we might be able to find some time on the weekend.
I
know I won't because I'm at a summit.
I know, you've always been very, very busy. What are some of the beliefs and patterns that you've previously held on to that you've had to unlearn once becoming a mum?
I think the main one is that the more productive you are isn't always the best you can be. It's learning that rest is okay.
Yes.
Rest is good. I thought that by being busy, by giving out a lot, but there was nothing coming back in. So I think...
How did you learn that lesson? Like, when did that become really apparent to you?
It's all a culmination, I think, of, the pausing to reflect, the breath work, the benefit you feel when you've had a break. The permission you give yourself occasionally to say, I'm going to binge watch this in Netflix. I had to be told what to start with because I just couldn't understand how people found the time to watch TV.
Because you were busy doing.
I was doing, and I've had to unlearn to do and just be.
And have you started to feel the benefit of that? Like, does it feel like it's starting to reap the reward? In what way?
I'm kind of at home, I think.
Yes.
I also don't judge others because they're allowing themselves to rest more. They can do it, I can do it.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that I'm a doer, and it's easy for us to think that if you're not busy doing things, then you're lazy. And there's that really negative sort of element that goes with if you're not got something to show for your day, what's been your output today, then the alternative is, well, you haven't made the most of your day, and it's considered a negative.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
I remember a friend saying to me, you ask, how you going? And my reply often would be, oh, really good, hectic or busy. And it was so funny because, we're giving each other a little hug, and she goes, and I said, how are you? And she goes, I'm good. I'm really in go slow mode at the moment. And she's got 2 kids, and she's got a business and, a family. And she said, I'm just doing things slow. I'm really celebrating doing less on my weekends and my evenings. And honestly, it just stopped me in my tracks because I thought I was kind of like using it as a bit of a trophy. Like, I'm so hectic, look at me. And she put this beautiful mirror in front of me almost because it was her life that suddenly seemed enviable and meaningful and rich. And mine that felt hollow, like I was on some kind of a treadmill. So I did a deep dive into reflection after that.
No, I get that too. And there's something about that sense of zen you feel when you've allowed yourself, you've kind of scheduled it in, but I'm not going to do anything. In fact,
even if you do, for me, being a busy person and liking to be productive, the only way I get to marry that with my life of like trying to go slower is I schedule lots of little holidays. I schedule time where I've actually written go for a swim. It's not just about writing when I'm catching up with someone or when I've got an appointment. I'm also making sure that I be really intentional about doing really what I used to think was like almost naughty or forbidden would be like reading a novel during the day if you weren't on holidays. That's why I specify because we all read the textbooks and This was just for
Yeah.
pleasure and realizing, we're on this planet and why are we here? There's many reasons, but one of them can and should be around fulfillment. And we get to define what that looks like. And it's not about a stopwatch.
Yeah.
So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I wanted to also ask, if your kids were to describe you, what would you hope that they would say about you?
That I was loving and kind, that I fed them well,
I think we got that one.
that I was fun. I wasn't always the mum that
The grouch.
wasn't fun. Yeah. And it's funny because doing the pool challenge did make me realise for the last 3 or 4 years, I've really not jumped in the pool with the kids. I've barely been in the pool, and it's because I don't want to get my hair wet, I don't want to get in my togs. Come and play with me. They've stopped asking me now.
Yes.
And I'd never thought I'd be one of those mums. I thought I'd be the one cartwheeling in with them and everything. And it was funny that I did think about that within this challenge, how lovely it is just floating, looking up, or how lovely it is just immersing myself in water. Where are my 3 little babies? They're not, they don't even know I'm here.
But they know you're in the pool because, if you're anything like me, we're telling them at dinner time.
Yeah.
Guess what I'm doing now?
Just been for a cool pool plunge.
So that's fun in itself.
Yeah.
And, I hear you when I try to remind myself, like when I don't feel like doing something with one of the kids or I'm in the middle of something else and they want to tell me, I remind myself there'll be a day where they're not going to come to me. They might not invite me or ask me.
Yeah,
so I've got to try to make the most of it. But it's okay when that transition occurs.
Yeah.
But I do think you've got something really smart there. If you can continue to invent yourself as someone that's fun and doing something interesting, it allows you to be compelling and something that, I want to be a little bit curious to my kids.
Yeah.
And so you doing the cold plunge, it's like they'll look at that and think, that's fun. My mum's being interesting here.
Yeah,
so I think you're on the right track there.
It's funny, isn't it? As they get older, it's almost like you want to be in the cool gang with them.
Yes, I know.
What will they think of me wearing this instead of the other way
Normally
around?
they'll tell me, like, are you wearing that? Are you seriously wearing that? And I'll be like, no, just it was on its way back into the wardrobe. Can you share, just as we wrap up, one little tip that you would like to offer our audience around how to maintain your own identity and sense of who you are in the context of being a mum?
It's funny. I think just from our conversation now, I would say don't let the guilt be a bad thing. Turn it into a positive and let it be your trigger to remind you to be with the kids when you want to be with the kids, and definitely carve time out for yourself, whatever that looks like, and change it up. If it's doesn't bring you joy, change it up. Schedule it in if it's in your day. Busy.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
It is really interesting because as we started our conversation, you sort of described being this ferociously independent woman that, loved to travel, could see herself living her entire just continent skipping.
Yep.
But knowing deep down at some point, you wanted to be a mum and that you were running out of time because you're in the moment. And then you went and succeeded, became a mum. But because you've always been easily inspired by other things, there's been the two worlds. It's been tricky. And so you've used guilt as a way to sort of bring you back to being the mum, because ultimately you're also very conscious of Sharon, the woman with the 100 million ideas and inspirations that she wants to involve herself with. So I can see the weaving in and out of the role, which I'm imagining a lot of us can relate to. Like, we cherish the role of being a mum, but we also hopefully are learning the importance of our own identity.
And it's important, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, the kids will move on like we have from our parents, and we have to have our own sense of self and a sense with our partner that we haven't forgotten along the way. We need to have that sense of adventure. You don't want them to move out and then you look at each other saying, what now?
What do we do? So it's a weaving in and out of the role of leaning into the mum role and then weaving back out
Yep.
to the identifying with who you are and the individuality and then
Yep.
the other hats that we wear as partner and daughter and best friend, etc. Well, look, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I hope to have you back on the show maybe when you've done some more travel and you've clocked up those numbers. Maybe come back when you've hit number 100.
I'll be there. I'll be still young and vital.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Sharon.
Thank you.